Today I want to demo creating a simple blog app in Volt. This will show you how to use the store collections and also give you a look at how the validations work. So let's go ahead and create a new project. We'll call it blog. It's going to go ahead and bundle our gems. And then we'll go ahead and open it. And I'm going to shrink this down again so that we can see the page at the same time. So let me just start the server real quick. Then we'll bring up the browser, load up localhost, and we get the basic Volt app. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a page. I'm actually going to do a little different. I'm going to create a separate view section, or a separate set of views, and a separate controller for the blogs. So I'm going to go ahead and create a blog controller. We don't have generators at the moment, but I'll be adding those shortly. And I'm going to go ahead and create an index page. Again, in this particular video, I'm not going to go into the details as much. This is more of a see how it's done as opposed to a tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and add a route for this. Just going to paste this in. And since we are on a different controller here, we're going to specify our controller. And then I'm going to go to the nav and go ahead and add a nav link for it. Now we can jump into the other controller. And again, I need to reload since I changed my route. It's going to get fixed shortly. And so what I want to do is I want to make it so that I actually have a separate page for creating a new blog. So let's go ahead and make a new .html. Just going to paste in this code real quick. You'll notice it's got this save action on submit. And then there's something we haven't seen. So this is actually a separate component that's bundled as a gem, and this is called Volt Fields. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my gem file. And what this gives us is it gives us these fields that basically show the error validation messages for us, and then handle when a field is blurred, kind of saying, oh, this field has been touched, we should now run the validation on it. And so what's nice about this is it'll give us basically live updating validations without a whole lot of work on our part. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to add a link to blog/new. It's going to go ahead and create a new post. So let me go ahead and add the route for the new post. I'll go ahead and do it up here. And there we go. And I haven't really done anything as far as setting up our models. So why don't I'll go ahead and define a new method that will get called when the new view loads. And I'm going to take the post collection, which is where we're going to be storing our blogs, and I'm going to call buffer on it. And what buffer does is it returns a model of the same class as whatever post is going to be. And a buffer basically acts just like the normal model, except it doesn't actually store it until you call save. And so when you call save, it takes this instance, the buffered instance, and sets its values to an instance of posts. So calling buffer on a collection returns a single new instance that will get appended to post when you save. Calling it on a existing model instance will just save it back to that one. So the other thing, I haven't actually talked much about models, but we can actually create our own model, create our own classes for models. So I can just say post it extends model, and then whenever I'm dealing with the buffer or the post, an instance of post, I can add all these useful helper methods. What I care about for this example is actually doing validations. So let's just say we want to validate something. We want our length to be at least 5 on the title. And so what we're going to do is put that in there. And then since we've, when we return the buffer, we assign it to model. And our controller actually inherits from model controller. And so like we saw in the to-dos tutorial video, any methods that aren't defined will get proxied to this model. So here we're actually changing it kind of on the fly when new gets called to say, I want those missing methods, which in this case would be title and body, to come from the post object. So here we reload and we can see that as soon as we blur, we get this error, must be at least 5 characters, which matches what our validation was. I'll go ahead and do one for body. Say it has to be 20, for example. And what's interesting is, because this is all reactive, what this is actually doing, this is kind of saving us some time, but we could do the exact same thing by doing a text box and saying its value is title, and then saying we want to take the current model, so model.errors, and then for title. We don't get the same nice formatting, but you'll notice it disappears when we do this. The other thing that these helpers are doing for us is they're what's called marking a field. So by default, errors contains all of, contains all the validations as run when they change. So typing a key changes it, and it's smart to only kind of run what needs to be run. But the thing is, a lot of times we don't actually want to show an error until we've interacted with the field. And so for that, we have a thing called marked errors. And so marked errors basically doesn't show any errors until the field gets marked. And so the way you mark a field, if we add a blur event, is you say model.markField, and then you pass it the name. So here we could, and actually we have to use the focus out event since it propagates correctly. So here you can see now, again, if it's not until we blur that those actually show. But the nice thing is we have this fields text and fields text area to give us kind of an easier way to set this up. The other thing that happens is whenever we hit save, what we're doing is we're calling a save method on the blog controller, and what I have that do is call save on the model, and this takes a promise, so we can say, whenever this gets saved, go back to the blog, and if we wanted to, we can handle the failure case. I won't in this case, but so the failure would be something coming back from the server, for example, or the validation's failing. So if I save this now, what's interesting is when save gets called, save exclamation point on the model, it will actually blur all the fields for us, or mark all the fields for us. So that's kind of the expected behavior too. So let's go ahead and we'll add a new blog post. And then we'll hit save, and this go method just takes us to a URL, setting the parameters. And if you're new to Volt, it's not actually, since these are in the same, this URL is in the same component, it's not actually redirecting on the back end. It's just rendering this other page all on the front end. So let's go ahead and paste in some code to actually show the blog, actually show the posts. And let's see. And what I need to do is, the model here is getting called from store. So what I'd like, just for convenience, I'd like to be able to just access posts on the controller itself and have that proxy. So what I'm going to do is just say when index gets called, I'm going to set the store. To or the model to this store to the store symbol, which says the model should be the store itself, the store collection. And so you can see there we have our new blog post. So next, what I'm going to want to do, let's go ahead and just make the remove link work. So if we look here, we're just saying post.delete@index, and actually that's all we needed to do. So now that's working. Next, let's go ahead and make another blog post. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up this edit page. And so I'm going to go ahead and make an edit.html file, and I'm going to add some routes for it. So what this says is if they go to blog /some value /edit, set the parameters collection to controllers, or to the controller value to blog on the parameters collection and the action value to edit. And so what we get is where edit's going to be called, and for edits, what we want to do is set the model to the instance of the model that we're looking up. So we can go ahead and say store.post.find, and we're going to find by the ID. And so these return a reactive object that also behaves like a promise. So we can basically get back a result whenever it's ready, and then we can assign the model to a buffer off of that result. And at the moment, it actually returns a collection. So you basically grab the first one and then grab the buffer from that. So that actually grabs an instance of it. And then in our edit file, I'm just going to paste in the HTML for this. And so this basically says, again, since our model is an instance of post, the model class that we inherit from gives us a thing called state. And so state tells us, are we loading? Is this dirty and it needs to be saved back, and things like that. So basically I'm just going to check to see if it's loaded, and then if it is, display the information from it. So you can see there, it gave us the form, and again, what's nice is we have all of our validations, and it's calling save again, and since save just works on whatever the model is, we can hit save and it edits it back. And there you have it. That's basically all that it takes to build a blog, a very simple blog. Let's go ahead and do a show page. And what we'll do is we'll make it so that you can actually do comments. So let me add a route for show, similar to the route for edit. And then in the controller, we're going to say when the show template loads, we're going to set the model to on posts. We want to find the one with the ID of params.id. And since we're not grabbing a buffer off of this, we actually don't need to do the then. Whenever this comes in, it's going to trigger the events on model to update everything. So let's try that. We forgot to paste in our view code. So again, we'll paste in some view code, and then let's go ahead and restart our server. Gotta get that fixed. And there we go. I had a couple things in here that I haven't defined yet. So this is a comments control and a comments new control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a comments controller, which again inherits from model controller. And we're going to make a comments view section. Let's go ahead and just do new.html to start with. And I will paste this in. So this is our new comments form. I'm just going to, let's see. And then what we need too is one to show, or to show all of them. So that's our index.html. And I'll just paste that in. And so we need to set up a few things. One is for index, if you notice in the blog one, we're actually looping through each of the comments here. And so this particular control, as we call it, with a controller, actually just shows a single comment. So index it's the index for the control itself. So we're just showing whatever comment gets passed in here. So what we want to do is basically say when index gets called, we want to set the model to be the instance variable comment. And the reason this works is the default initialize method for model controller takes in as a hash any of these attributes that gets passed in. And since we did this in bindings, it says give us, instead of string, give us whatever the value of comment is. So we're actually getting that passed to the initialize method of model controller, which then sets those up as instance variables so that we can access them in any other method. So here we just take that and we just assign it to the model so that it'll know how to display it. Let's make new work as well. And what we're going to do with new is we're going to say assign the sorry, let me show you what it takes in. New takes in a post, and this at the moment is kind of a bug. Down the road you won't have to call first, so I have to get that fixed. But basically what we're doing is we're grabbing the model instance and the parent model, which is the blog post, and passing that in as post. So here we're just assigning the model to a comments collection on the post, and then we're buffering a new one. So now when we hit save, there's also an add comment method. If you look in the new form, it calls add comment on comment controller. So what that does is we can say model.save, and if that passes, then we can call the new method again, which sets up another one. And close it. Okay, so now if I hit add, you can see that comes in. And again, since this is all backed by our data store, we get this live updating. And in our index, we have it where when we hit the X, it actually grabs the parent of the model, which is the collection of comments, and then deletes it. So a little bit confusing. I'm going to do a kind of more in-depth tutorial on this, but that should give you a good example of kind of how easy it is to do a blog as an example in Vault. What's nice too is these validations are actually checked on the server side as well. So even if a person was to disable the JavaScript that did all the checking, it actually would return the same errors when you tried to save it on the back end. And so what's nice is our models are really simple, but we didn't actually have to write this validation logic twice. And what's nice too is it's almost ready where we'll have it where you can actually say in your model who can read and write it, and then who can read to it and who can write to a particular instance of a model. And that will kind of protect it so that, if you were limiting who could edit these blog posts, that you could very simply write that logic. We're also going to provide a built-in user collection that will basically always sync up with the user account, and will provide templates to automatically generate, have a person sign up and log in and things like that. So that's building a simple blog in Vault. We still have a little ways before it's production ready, but if you want to check it out, please do, and let us know what you think. Thanks.